We are live.
Okay, just a second. Right. Good afternoon, good morning, and good evening to everyone who is watching here live and who will be watching it later. Welcome, and I'm very excited to host the last session of our World Franchise Expo today, highlighting the Dubai market. So thank you so much and welcome everyone. Now, so I'm Venus Barak. I am the CEO of Fran Global. Fran Global is a market entry firm. And as part of our core business, we work with international brands for market entries. Our anchor market remains India and nearby markets. Now, the focus, we had different sessions throughout the day, and we wanted to, end the summit by having a overall discussion on, because so much has happened in last, let's say, year and a half. We wanted to have a discussion that where is the franchise market in Middle East today? Because franchising in Middle East is very dynamic. Majority, especially in Gulf, has a bigger market share of international brands, but a burgeoning, local franchisor market as well. A lot of young people, so and a lot of churn as well. So, I think there's a lot of change. So, what we wanted to do was we wanted to sort of set some context, and then see and then try and give some directions to people who already are in the franchising business or would want to get into one. And as part of the panel, I'm very excited to have people who have extensive experience across markets, across decades, and they would be sharing their experience on franchising in the Middle East. So I would first like to welcome Mr. Khalid Mahdi. He is the Middle East Director for Accentia Franchise Consultants. Welcome, Khalid.
Thank you, Venus.
We also have Marcel Portmann. Marcel Portmann is the Managing Director and founder of Portmann Consulting Group, which has presence all across the world. And Marcel is one of the top names in international franchise consulting. Marcel, I know you have joined us from London. We can see that in the background, so welcome.
Thank you. Yes, pleasure to be here.
And then we have Cristiano Iezzi. Cristiano is the co-founder and development manager for Sea House Italia. Sea House Italia is a very Italian but very modern cafe, and Cristiano has built a Sea House brand from Italy across the world. So welcome, Cristiano.
My pleasure. Thank you so much.
And then we have Saer Imad. Saer is the group general manager for Almed Retail. Now, Almed Retail owns multiple brands, and among them is also a very fast-growing QSR brand called JJ Chicken. And Saer manages and heads the whole group, and would be able to share his real-time experience before, during, and now after, let's say, well, when I say after, I mean, I think almost after the pandemic. Saer, welcome.
Welcome. Thank you. It's a pleasure.
Okay, so I think if we can get started with quickly, sharing, and if I can start with Khalid, you coming in, that, what's your, let's say, initial sort of, comments on, the franchising in Middle East and where it is today? Briefly.
Oh, I wish I was chosen last to listen to the others.
That's okay.
More experience.
That's okay.
I'm joking. No,
Yeah.
I think we can all ascertain that the Middle East is still a growing market. and franchising is still on a high growth curve in the Middle East, regardless of the sector of the franchise that you choose. It is still sought after, and you'd be amazed on how many brands that are out there that have not yet entered the Middle East yet, because they don't have the market knowledge. They're they think in their mind and exaggerate the barriers to market entry. So I think it's one of the best places to deal with franchises in the current, at the present time. Leaving COVID aside, I think that's a special case, but the Middle East is one of the most exciting and growing markets in franchising now.
That's very commendable. I think it's good to sort of note that you're very excited and confident that it is going to be a growth-oriented market. Marcel?
Yes, welcome again. Thank you for having me today. Well, I've been in the Middle East for work with IFA and with franchise person now as consultant. So I've seen the evolution of the Middle East, and I can say that it's, if you take consideration what's called Middle East North Africa, which is the MENA region, there's 577 million population, and the average age right now of MENA, and those that live there can correct me, what I read was it's 26 years old. So it's a very young population. It's populous countries, cities like Cairo, which are probably the biggest city in MENA with, close to 20 million. And I see that the growth of food is very prevalent because it's the first thing people see. But there are many, many other concepts that, because of today's situation and maybe because of the way the Middle East is evolving, there's a lot more opportunities up there. And I would say, the opportunities are there. There's plenty of choices. The Middle East does not have a franchise regulation as a whole in any country. I think there's something that's brewing or something that has been passed in Saudi Arabia, and I think Khalid could probably help us if there's any questions on that. But the rest of the region doesn't have a real franchise regulation, so that's also very. It's good for companies to go in. It's also a franchise partners and franchisees should watch.
Marcel, you're breaking up. Do you mind saying? Just again your last sentence we could not hear.
I'm sorry. Well, I'm just saying that the lack of franchise regulation is something to look at as well. But there's also a need to have franchise candidates be aware of the fact that they need to do their own investigation of the companies that are coming in.
Sure. Thank you, Marcel. Saer.
Actually, I totally agree with both Khalid and Marcel that there is still a big opportunity in the Middle East, and I won't, contrary to most of the people, they think due to the COVID and all the negative implication on the business, I think it's on the opposite. It's an opportunity now for any franchise to come to the Middle East because cost of doing business and starting business went really down. Perspective. So this will be a good opportunity for any business or any franchise coming to the Middle East to come and start now. And grabbing this opportunity. So when all the COVID-19 impact, they are ready to just grab the real growth that is coming to the region. So now it is a good opportunity really to take it.
Great. Cristiano.
First of all, I would like to say that we are forgetting that there will be the first, in a couple of days, at least in Italy, there will be the first birthday of the COVID, because we should know that since 1 year ago, we have a newborn baby close to us and we need to live with him. So due to this is a very sarcastic part of the conversation, but this is something that is shocking a little bit our way of living. From my point of view, from what I know, the Middle East market that I'm there around from 2000, so roughly 20 years, I can say that I always saw that the market is growing very fast. They are very quick learning. There are people in Middle East they accept a lot the new things, and everything went visualized already from very long time there in Middle East. So once more, the speed, everything is about speed. Everything is about to be fast, especially because the competition in this area is quite high, because there are very smart investors, entrepreneurs in the area, so that they are forcing even the customer to be fast, to be speed. So what I can say is that there will be all over the world, but especially Middle East, an old normal and a new normal. Okay. So I think Middle East is the perfect place where our guests, our clients, our potential people that are going to bring us money in our stores is the perfect place where you can have this bottle combination of old and new normal. This is what I think, and this is the way we as owner of franchisor like this, we need to think, because the people now are looking for. They learn about something new in terms of digitalization. I mean, fast internet like this, making order like this and so on. Plus they want to go to buy, I don't know, something normal to the store. So it's a combination of both things. This is my point of view.
That's important. And again, thank you so much. I think these all are coming from different paths and different thought processes. But if I can connect with what Cristiano mentioned, and if I can get a comment from everyone is, I think if I can say that the international franchising started in, I think about early 90s, maybe in the mid 80s, with the big brands coming into Dubai and these markets. So let's say it is a span of about 30-35 years when the initial sort of wave of franchising, and then Dubai, of course, also and Dubai and Middle East market also saw the 2000 there was a bit of a crash, and then we have 2008 a crash, and I think in 2020 also this whole COVID thing is also some kind of a big jolt to an overall market, and especially Gulf market gets very much affected because it has such a high ratio of international brands, people, immigrants, and so on and so forth. But I think earlier when the market jolted, we didn't have this technology aspect so heavy on us. Now I think as Cristiano mentioned, no brand, no business can even think about that they can actually survive without technology, which again, I think is all about speed. So I think if I can get a comment because it really is connected to the franchising industry, that this whole, because overall, if you really see, especially in the Middle East, I can say wherever I visit, franchising is all about bringing in this big American brand and opening these large stores. Traditionally it was about that. Let's buy a brand, let's open stores. But I think it has evolved from that. Now, so from your perspective, how brands, if I can get, of course, comment from Cristiano and Saer, who actually managed brands directly, and from Khalid and Marcel, that how they are seeing, franchise brands are really sort of, getting themselves prepared to, as we recover from, this lockdown and shutdown, with this mix of technology. Is it a boon? Is it a bust? And how brands are preparing themselves? Anybody can sort of take that up.
If you allow me to start,
sure. Sorry.
I totally agree with you that franchising has went into different curves since the 80s until today. And yes, the concept of big stores has definitely changed, especially with the pandemic now. Even the normal trend that we understand about businesses has totally changed, and delivery, it's becoming a major concept and very major stream of revenue in businesses, especially when we have the lockdown here in Dubai. And technology, definitely, it's going through all the operate. It's not only about how we sell, but it's also how we operate our businesses. So technology is becoming very, very important factor to be more efficient and try to minimize our cost as much as possible. Being in the heart of the operation, whatever, if you have a POS system, or how you track your delivery platforms, or how you manage your inventory. So it's a full ERP solution that now we are talking about. Plus the the delivery boom or the e-commerce, if you want, that impacted the whole business, especially during the pandemic. It has its pros and cons, actually. It wasn't always good because a major challenge we are facing here in the UAE or in the Middle East in general is the domination of the platforms, like all these aggregators that are hurting the businesses big time. And there was a move recently in Dubai amongst a lot of players in the F&B to have their own platforms, their own delivery fleets to overcome this challenge. And it was mainly raised during the COVID, as a lot of costs or expenses were put on the business besides these aggregators. So I believe technology, as we said, is becoming a very important factor in any business to succeed. When it comes to franchising, I believe now people or investors are more interested into economies of scale or fast-growing franchises where low capex is required. So still people are not yet. So they are looking for businesses where not a large capital is required, because now real estate, cost of doing business is becoming a major issue. Investors into their investment from an IRR perspective or from a payback period perspective is becoming very important. So franchises where the low capex is there is much more attractive nowadays. But this is how we see it in the market.
Thank you, sir. Very interesting. Anybody else wants to take this up and comment?
I would just say, let me just a few thoughts. We work with a company right now that's expanding in the Middle East called Doughnuts, and
yes,
and they are all about the experience. So they have large stores where you go in and you see the donuts being made. And this was obviously pre-COVID, and we opened a store in Dubai right in the middle of COVID because the landlord almost had the requirement to do so. So September of last year, we opened up this 120 square meter store that was counting on the traffic of the Dubai marina, counting on the tourism. That's what the business plan had said, a year ago. But what has happened? So they've had to evolve with the help of the franchisor. They basically, the few tidbits I can say is we need to keep the process, adapt the technology. Don't lose the experience of what made you famous or what made you noticeable. Try to deliver the experience. In this case, that's what Doughnuts is doing. They've created a way to take the delivery experience of making your own donut to the home. So there's a whole new catering, a whole new delivery process. And technology nowadays allows us to do many things. Contactless delivery is very important. And like Saer was saying, that the size, I don't think we'll be able to do another 120 square meter store in the Middle East in the near future. We've adapted the concept we have now a container concept that has 30 square meters. You have the same experience, you deliver the same product, fresh, made to order. So that probably wouldn't have happened if we were in a non-COVID world. So at least Duck has adapted to the times, and there's other concepts that unfortunately I have not been able to. But again, that's where anybody looking to get into a franchise should make sure they understand if the brand has been resilient enough, strong enough to adapt to the times, to what's going on. Because it's COVID now. 5-10 years from now will be something else. Right. Brands need to be continuously evolving. So that would be the message. Make sure that the company you're looking at is ready to evolve.
Right.
I would like to add a couple of things to these interesting things that I would like to resume as act quickly and adjusting the cost. There are two other points from my point of view that I see in a market in this moment. I'm going to create two words. One is deliverable, something deliverable. And another thing is very important, Instagrammable. So there are something that the product itself must be, you need to have must be derivable. Otherwise, would be a problem, to train. I mean, in some particular case in our business, for instance, as a coffee, how can you bring a coffee to an office, cold and whatever? So you need to find a way with other products to make this kind of delivery, because it's very important. In the same time, the people, and here I totally agree with Marcel, want to have a show, want to have something, want to interact with the product, okay? So something that can be from putting on Instagram or whatever. So the marketing strategy is very important in this moment once more. So it's not matter about how nice is the store, but the profit and so on is coming from delivery and marketing strategy and so on. This is my honest point of view.
Very interesting. Khalid, anything you would want to add?
Well, I think the three gentlemen covered everything. So, but yes, I would say I agree definitely with all three that, as Saer mentioned, low capex is now important for any new entrant, because people are a bit more conservative in their expenditure and their outlook. I agree with Cristiano, definitely deliverable and Instagrammable, nice phrases to use, and these are very important aspects in any business. And as Marcel said, being agile and any business having the ability to pivot itself when things changes in a manner that we have seen in the past year. But that applies not to the franchise world. I mean, that applies always. And the only thing is that probably none of us know is that how things will pan out after COVID. And that depends a lot on when COVID will be over, or when COVID will be less severe in its effect on doing business, on social distancing. If we see something, if we see an improvement towards the second half of this year, then maybe the effect and the gradual return to pre-COVID normality would be quicker and easier. But if we don't see that for the next 2 years, then the playing field will completely change, in my opinion, for the future.
Well, that's very valid, Khalid. And I think I would take what Cristiano meant, deliverable and Instagrammable. I think that's very well packaged, Cristiano. And because what we are seeing, it just does not apply. And Khalid and Marcel would know that as part of our business, we speak to multiple brands. We represent multiple brands. And in every brand today, they, unless the brand pivots to omni-channel strategy, that they are able to capture a customer at a retail location, even at their home, or at e-commerce, online, maybe something mixed, then they really are leaving a lot on the table. So I think, and this is what I'm seeing, and I think Marcel and Khalid can, in fact, add on that, even with the traditional brands, I'm seeing a scenario where they are actually now really open for the feedback, which they weren't before, that unless they really kind of become a bit flexible in looking at markets like Dubai and Saudi, which were kind of no-brainer before, because people were ending up at their door to sign deals. But as Saeed mentioned, even large investor today is really rationalizing that any brand I want to take, I would want that it makes at least unit economic sense even now and going forward. Yeah.
Sure.
Okay. So if that's okay, I would now want to move on to my next point, and which is the real estate part. I think real estate is a very important part of this whole deal. And my next point would be focused on master franchising. Is how's the real estate kind of part playing, because that's important in our business. Is our malls now kind of bending them, like really kind of being open to get to sweeten the deals, maybe renew leases on discounted pricing, or how's that coming around? This is specifically for master franchisees or franchisees who want to get in, and even for brands who would coming in. Anybody kind of comment on what's happening in the real estate part because of this, whatever is happening?
Well, I would say that, sorry, just quickly, that the Middle East has been known to be a region of the world where franchisors, especially American franchisors, have given the entire region to one group or two groups, and that has resulted very well for many brands, not so well for others. And the reason that is done is a little bit of an unknown of the region. Not sure how to deal with the region, so I'd rather have one person to deal with instead of having to deal with multiple countries, multiple partners. The advantage on the real estate side on a master franchise deal is that most of the big developers in the region that make the malls, the strip centers, the shopping areas are the same groups as well. So if you can get in one group, you do well and you're a successful concept, you will get your doors open in other markets, in other places, in other cities. Works a little bit the way in the US, with groups such as Simon Malls or Westfield in Australia. But in the Middle East, it's a lot larger because these groups have a true dominance of markets where they build everything from apartment complexes to shopping centers. You see their signs everywhere when you go and visit. So I would say on the real estate side, I understand that it's key for those that are retail based. We're talking about having smaller footprints. I think these small real estate developers are also realizing that they need to be adapting the way they sell their shopping centers. I believe there's going to be a lot more open space, not so much enclosed. People want to be out. They want to enjoy being outside. They want to be able to go back to quote unquote some sort of normal. So I've been stuck in the house here in London for 3 months. I can't go anywhere. The last thing I'm going to do when everything opens up again is go inside a mall. I'm going to look for outdoor spaces, outdoor entertainment, outdoor food.
Sure.
And I think that's also key. People want to go back to that feeling of opportunity. So that would be my thought on the real estate.
Saeed, any inputs on real estate? Because I know you have locations within malls, outside malls, all kinds of places.
Good thing about the COVID-19 that it makes these big malls and big landlords become less arrogant. So that's a very good thing actually. And they have been realizing that there is a different reality and that there is a different facts they need to take it into consideration. So most of regardless of the renewal, even during the term of the lease, there was a lot of rent reliefs given by most of the malls. And I think now they started more and more realizing that e-commerce, it's becoming the number one choice for people. It started before COVID-19. During COVID, it becomes the only choice for people. So this is putting more and more pressure on the landlords, and at the same time, as we mentioned before, that is changing the dynamics of the business, not only in the F&B, but in every single aspect of the business or sector. So people are moving more into the e-commerce shopping style. So leaving the owner of the business with options to go outside the malls, to go for a real estate where it's cheaper, maybe street shops, maybe not in a prime location, specifically if they are depending more on deliveries more than dine-in or and as Cristiano mentioned before, it's about Instagrammable. So yes, now marketing is mainly delivering or generating most of your revenues. So if you are into this space, you don't need really to be in the best mall or in the best location in the mall and pay this huge premium for the rent. So this is how the dynamics of the market is changing. We are seeing it. You add to it one extra factor that is becoming very familiar now recently is the dark kitchen or the cloud kitchen concepts.
Right.
People are going for one prime location, maybe they will say they will afford the cost of one location and they can spread everywhere through cloud kitchen where the rent or there is no rent even. It's just kind of a revenue sharing. So all these factors are really putting a huge pressure on the rent in general, and it's changing how people or businesses are looking to real estate and considering it in their business plans in general.
Sure, very valid.
Yeah, I agree with all of you and Saer, especially with your point of view. I really think the shopping center in the area in the Middle East, in the region, GCC, they were too much aggressive. They wanted really, they know that maybe the labor cost can be less in this part of the world comparing to UK, France, Italy, or whatever. And so they were very aggressive with the rent and so on. And I heard from friends of mine that they start to be a little bit more, reasonable, like this and so on. But if apart from this opportunity that now the market is giving, I think even some street location, or not really shopping center, but this multiplex, multiple real estate, for me, there is a new way to try to make business in this area. I would like to say that I heard about that even some from Marcel, I heard about that some even giving one master, to one company was not that successful. Honestly, I would like to enter in the field of investment or something, if you don't mind, Venus, that trusting the brand is the first thing that an owner, a master franchisee is supposed to do. Because, everyone, all of us, especially when you are talking about with an entrepreneur means that, especially in this area, the part of the world, entrepreneur has a lot of resources in terms of money and so on. So when you are going to finish the training, the big mistakes many companies are doing, okay, don't worry, I'm going to manage. Maybe they have a manager, some managed together that were coming from different experience. So they were already experienced franchise business. So slightly they were changing, the card, the game card. And of course, this cannot happen. So from my really point of view, apart from this big opportunity we are going to have now in this moment in Middle East for the real estate, we need to review a bit, stay very close to our people, and try to keep the standards. This is honestly where my company, I don't want to talk about my company, but where me personally, waking up in the morning, I want to be close to my investment internationally.
Sure.
Keep the standards. Don't do this. Trust the brand. Let's follow. Don't worry. And something good will going to happen. I would like to say a quote that I heard from a friend, and I think it's very appropriate for the COVID. They say, reach the port, we must sail, okay? And sail, not tie to at anchor or not drift. So we need to sail. We need to follow to sail. We are in the middle of the storm. We shouldn't be worried. Of course, we should be worried. Once more, act quickly and adjust in the cost. But from my point of view, we need to sail. Now it's time to sail, to looking forward, because the good time is going to come. That we are IFA member. And the last year, 2020, they were saying that around middle 2021, end of 2021, everything was going to finish. Now really the review for this new kind of way of COVID and so on. So we are already 2022.
Yes.
We shouldn't be worried. The good time is going to come, and making good choice, good decisions in this moment is going to help us, all of us.
Agreed. Khalid, any inputs there?
Yes, if we're talking about the real estate, I think the good old supply and demand rule will be the dominant factor.
Sure.
Yes, I agree with Saer that quite a few of the mall owners and operators and real estate operators were ignorant, and I think they now have to be more considerate otherwise, if you don't take into consideration the supply and demand rule, then you'll end up with ghost malls. People cannot afford to pay what they used to pay, and that is the formula is always dependent on the footfall. I mean, people pay high prices in a mall because there is a high footfall. That high footfall relates to customers. But if there are a less number of customers, then it doesn't make sense anymore to pay the high amount that they demanded, and people will look elsewhere for it. So hopefully they will come to their senses.
Well, generally, my experience has been that the mall owners in Dubai and Gulf are always ahead of the curve. So I'm sure they would come around. But I think if I can summarize and move on to the next two important topics I want to discuss is that I think going forward for franchise brands, and this is across sectors, I know we have, we're talking about food a lot, is I think negotiating and maximizing both the real estate part of the business and the technology, what we call these aggregators across sectors, does not apply to only one sector. Even in service sector is going to be key, and it should be part of when we are talking deals, that that if you the organization, the master franchisee, even the brand should have full capabilities to be able to effectively deal with the retail real estate part of the business, but as well as the technology part, which is these not just use of technology, but also working with these aggregators, because I'm sure Saer and Cristiano know that these aggregators can be aggressive as well, their margins and everything. You would have to know how to deal with them.
Totally agree with you, Venus. I totally agree.
Totally, yeah, me too. But there are, we need to be very careful with these aggregators. Sometimes they are taking all the profits. So we need to be very careful, because sometimes I was working, I was with a friend of mine that has a big stores in Italy. And they were telling me, you know, Cristiano, I'm having 30% of the sales, or roughly 40% of the sale takeaway. Sometimes it's complicated because my fixed cost will be roughly the same. The people involved are the same, and they are taking roughly all the profit for me. So Saer was saying something very interesting. Locally in Dubai, they are organizing themselves to kind of do this kind of business. This is another way to do. Doing this way, I'm sure the aggregators sooner or later are coming to more reasonable idea towards us. I'm pretty sure.
Right, and I think Khalid and Marcel would also echo that because you deal with multiple brands, that now when the deals are happening, and my next stop is actually master franchising, and then of course talking about some specific sectors, that the development deals and the development portion of the deal is much more democratic now, and not just focused on opening, let's say, 10 stores. It is about the top line, which would include all the different channels. Is that correct?
Yeah, I would say, on my take on that is, the 80s, the 90s were a different time than we live now. And most of the dominant brands in those times were US brands that have been running for many, many years, and they were able to expand internationally. They had the resources to do trade shows. They had the resources to travel to different countries. I think the what's going on is also what I call cross-border franchising. So these large brands now have competition from existing regional brands. In the Middle East, there's some amazing brands that are now starting to franchise. So these American European concepts are now seeing competition within the Middle East. They're seeing competition from Asia. They're seeing competition from Australia. So the cross-border franchising is a very key factor on the growth, because these different concepts from different countries come with different economical proposals. Cristiano's concept, for example, is a different concept proposition and economical proposition than probably many brands from the US. He's closer to the region than maybe some of the brands are. So those factors are key. And the good thing for the consumer or the investor into a franchise is you have a lot of more choices now than you did before. Technology allows you to investigate these concepts. And, you know, until we're able to go back to traveling, you have more access to getting on a plane, going to Italy, see Cristiano's concept, have, you know, his product, and come back. In the 80s, that wasn't so easy. So that would be my take on that.
Very well said, Marcel. So I would now like to sort of connect these dots and move to and want to address two more areas. And I think in these two areas, every one of you would have a different feedback. One is the international brand opportunity in the Middle East, and also which sectors apart from food and beverage, which I guess universally is the most recognized. Like, for example, in emerging markets like ours, where I am based, food and beverage is growing very fast, but we are seeing hyper growth in education businesses, service businesses, home-based franchisees are just picking up very fast. Anything which can be combined with technology is growing very fast, convenience stores. So I think in our part of the world, we are seeing a lot of growth in these multiple sectors. So wanted to sort of, you know, throw these 2 points. One, that food and beverage, we have discussed, I mean, a lot is changing, and that's part of the story. But which other sort of sectors, maybe this question is primarily for Khalid and Marcel, do you think even Middle East would echo, you know, what Asia is seeing, which is just hyper growth of service-based brands, multi-channel brands which are in sort of supplemental education and so on and so forth? Or anything else?
Marcel, shall I go before you?
Please.
Yes, please. Thank you.
I think food and beverage will always have its place, and you know, it will never go away.
That's how we eat.
Exactly. And it's not only about eating, it's about socializing. I mean, COVID will go away and people would like to go and have a cup of coffee with somebody and go and have a meal with someone. So it's not only about the meal itself or the consumption, but it's about the social. And we are, at the end of the day, we are social animals, and we cannot, you know, we may, you know, technology will allow us to do this webinar, but it will not allow us to go on forever without the social interaction. So food and beverage, and it's maybe it will change, the facade will change, but it will always remain. But we have the health related, you know, fitness and health and health products. That is, I think, an emerging and a very important, and probably in the Middle East, we are slightly lagging behind the rest of the world. And that, so there's a bit of catching up to do when it comes to that. Training, as you rightly mentioned, is very important, and you know, career development and soft skills, these sort of sectors, I think, are also very much in happening in the future. And of course, IT and anything IT related will have a big chunk of all the franchises that we will be looking at.
That's very interesting, Khalid. And what I meant was that that's how you and I eat. In franchise service industry, food and beverage pays the bill. So that's what I meant. But I agree with you. So we also you know, represent brands like Action Coach for Middle East and many other service brands, and they are seeing a lot of growth because a lot of businesses which are there in the Middle East require a lot of support. So we are seeing, I think you rightly said, healthcare, 100% with you. Healthcare, fitness at home, not just gym, is also something very interesting.
Very true. Yes.
Marcel?
Yeah, I would add to that, of course, you know, looking at the demographics of the Middle East, you know, 26-year-old average age across the MENA region. There's a lot of children, anything that has to do with children's services, you know, whether it is to take care of children, to entertain children, or to educate children. So it goes back to education. the coding franchises have grown tremendously in many markets, where you're now teaching a child, entertaining a child and teaching him how to code at a very young age. When I was growing up, I had the Atari. That's the one I remember, with a little pong that the ball went from one side to the other. So I'm showing my age here, but anything has to do with services that can be delivered to the home, that can deliver you a convenience of maybe not having to leave your home or your office. Examples here in the UK, you have a brand that will sell you the blinds and the curtains and flooring for your house, where you used to be able to go to a store at a strip center and look at samples. Now they put that whole thing in a van. You make an appointment and they come to your house with all the samples. They show you the curtains, how they're going to look. They show you the floors, how they're going to look. And then the use of technology for all of these new, being able to, I've seen some concepts that will do the makeup and the hair, where you do it virtually. You sit in front of the screen and you'll see how this color looks on you, and you're laughing, but it's true. It's the convenience side of being able to being, if you can package your service and deliver the same experience, and home-based businesses, like you say, are going to grow tremendously as well. So I do think, education, children's services, cleaning services, I think more than ever, there's been cleaning franchises for many, many years.
Yes.
They are taking advantage of this moment in time, where now they're adding all types of sanitation services. And people might say, well, that's going to pass. So that's what Cristiano said. Everybody said the same thing. We would be in the beach in June, if you were here in Britain. Britain's not going anywhere for at least till October. So that would be my thought.
No, and I think if I can bring that to my next point, and Saeed, I have a question for you as well. But I just want to complete that thought, is that with with these additional categories, and I'm talking beyond food and beverage, do you also see that we would also see a new league of a brand master franchise owners who would come with a different mindset, because service brands require different mindset, and these would be new enterprises, new entrepreneurs, young sort of people coming into the market. Do you see that happening? Because that's happening a lot in Asia.
I totally agree with what Khalid said, that F&B will always be the first choice for every investor when it comes to franchising, because this is what was the trend, or what people were looking at. We're seeing a lot of other brands or other sectors coming, not only in F&B, but this is definitely has a different, it will require a different mindset, definitely, because as I told you now, and as you mentioned, that investors mainly are more financially cautious, let's put it in this way. So the dynamics or the econometrics of a business or of a feasibility of other than F&B, it's different. That's why it requires definitely a different mindset when it comes to, I don't know, having a service or having a brand, like you mentioned, fitness, but at home, like Peloton, for example, in the States during the COVID, has a lot of, it is becoming very famous and is doing very well. So you need to introduce, and most of these things are new to the market. So you need somebody with a different risk appetite, an investor or a master franchisee with a different risk appetite to go into these kind of sectors or into these kind of different businesses. But I believe there is a huge opportunity. You mentioned IT. I think there is a lot of opportunities in the fintech space. We are seeing a lot of companies here also coming up as a master franchisees, and this is totally new to the market. It's scalable and it has a lot of potential, I believe.
Great. And Saeed, I have one more question, but if I can bring in anybody to talk about this new league of master franchisees or franchise owners in the Dubai and Gulf region.
Sorry?
So not for you. I think I've heard you. Khalid, Marcel, Cristiano, anything to talk about this new league of master franchisees? Because beyond food and beverage, do you think the Gulf will see, let's say, another 1,000 companies in next 5 years who will be bringing in, new concepts, new brands beyond food and beverage?
Well, just one quickly, I'll just say that, because of everything going on, because people losing their jobs, or because of everything that's happening, we've seen a lot of people that have said, look, I don't want to get a job anymore. I was in corporate. I've been let go after X amount of years. I have some severance. I want to be an entrepreneur. I want to find a new business to do. So there's a new breed of potential franchisees that will need a lot of handholding because they haven't been entrepreneurs in the past. They are jumping into the entrepreneur world because of maybe they feel they don't want to be back in a world that they might get, lose their job quickly. So that would be just quickly on the whole opportunity of these folks that have been disenfranchised from corporate jobs and they want to do their own business. That's going to grow tremendously for the interest of certain concepts. So sorry, Cristiano.
No problem. I totally agree with you. Even if it's in Italy, a little bit different because the people are a little bit scared. We started from the very beginning after China, and especially the area where I'm living in Bergamo. There are, amazing videos where the people was bring up, in a cage. It was really complicated. The people here are completely on hold, but I think I can, I would like to make fun, if you don't mind. I mean, the human touch, shaking hands. In Italy was very common when you meet the person to kiss each other. Do you still remember? I don't remember. I'm not shaking hands since 1 year. So before the COVID, meeting on Zoom. Venus, you were telling me, Cristiano, come in India, we go together, this is on. Okay, Saer, okay, Khalid, see you in Dubai. Okay, 9 o'clock at the restaurant.
That's correct.
Marcel, we went last year, we were together in Orlando. We were there outside enjoying, and it was close to swimming pool. So so we are a little bit more, how you say, alone, okay?
Yes.
The human people now are a little bit more alone. So I totally agree with the iTeam technology that can grow the fitness at home. Yes, because you don't want to meet not even your friend. So the socializing part, we are forgetting a bit, okay? And as Mr. Khalid was saying, socializing is very, very important. But now, we are like this and we are ready to join again. So we need to be ready for the new join, let's say. This is what I think.
Sure. Khalid, anything to add there?
I just want to echo what Marcel said, which is usually, I mean, you probably know that also, Venus, that, when there is a recession, when employment is difficult, when the economy is bad, which is a global thing now.
Sure.
These are good friends usually to franchising because, as Marcel said, people, the job, if you've either lost your job or job security is very weak and you're afraid of losing your job, and then franchising becomes a very valid point. And we're quite busy with a lot of inquiries from this sort of executives who have some saving and either left their position. And so that is the COVID effect on the demographics of the new franchisees, and that will eventually affect the master franchisee and the franchisor also in the near future.
Absolutely, Khalid. And if I may add, and some of you might have some comment on that, is a franchisor is different than a brand owner, right? I think in the Middle East, if we specifically talk about the traditional franchising, that has been very operator driven. Okay, you get in a brand, you open 50 stores, right? But that is actually not franchising. That is an operator mindset, and that's fine. It's totally fine. But especially if we move beyond the larger brand, the bigger brands, the new age brands, I think this is what I think that Dubai and Middle East would see, like the Western world, a lot of new people coming in who would acquire brands or who would start their brands and grow it with sub-franchising. So somebody, let's say a cleaning company would come in or a coaching company would come in, and they would have hundreds of people under them who are not their own corporate people, but actually sub-franchisees. I think in this next wave, because it is a low cost and of course the service industry is anyways growing. This is what I feel, that there will be a lot of tremendous opportunities coming in going forward, where a lot of home-based service-based brands coming in, acquired by the smaller, the SME, the mid-sized company, or a new professional turned entrepreneur at a decent deal, and expanded through sub-franchising, which I think still is, in my market where I am based, that is very, very, that is very popular. But in Dubai, I think and Gulf market, we would see that becoming very big going forward. This is what I feel.
Yeah.
Okay, Saer, I have one sort of a question for you, which is the opportunity for Dubai-based brands, UAE brands, outside Dubai now. Of course, Dubai is the largest market for international brands, right? Now, I personally am very sort of work closely with Dubai brands. We've had a lot of successes. And I think Dubai-based brands and Gulf-based brands are very much ready to now go out and expand internationally. I know you are doing that. But what's your perspective on the Gulf brands now actually franchising themselves outside Gulf?
We can let me talk about Dubai, because as you know, that Dubai it has its fame. Everybody knows Dubai. If you are successful in Dubai, that means you are successful in all GCC countries.
Yes.
So this is give you like an edge to be able to franchise and expand internationally in a quicker pace. And that's why we are lucky to be based in Dubai, and we had our brand that we are franchising today, based in Dubai, was launched in Dubai 10 years ago. And why we believe that a company that is successful in Dubai could expand if it has all the right indicators or all the right parameters, could succeed abroad, because Dubai, you know, it has more than 200 nationalities living in Dubai. So you are immediately exposed to 200 different cultures, tastes, and you can test your model in Dubai, but as if you did the road shows or maybe pop-ups to see the different taste or culture in different countries. So this is, you have it in Dubai, you can know it in Dubai in your locally, without having all these efforts to go abroad. So, and this is will also tell you a lot of things. So you want to cater to which target audience, which type of cuisine, to which nationalities. It fits more nationalities or specifically to one. So this is also a great advantage that we are having in Dubai. Besides that, because of the different rules and regulations and let's say hygiene standards and the requirements, so it is international standards. So it also guarantee or secure that whatever you are making in Dubai will fit in most of the countries, because already we have some high standard. And that's why we believe that a company in Dubai, it has a lot of probability to succeed outside more than any other country. This is why we are now aggressively moving into that direction.
And why I brought that question, and anybody you can come in, is that generally, let's say if you see traditional markets, the international domestic franchise market is 80-20, 80% domestic, 20% international. Dubai has opposite. It has 80% international, maybe 15-20% domestic. I feel that there's a lot of opportunity there for Dubai brands to expand within, of course, UAE and across Gulf and outside as well in franchising. I think you guys are much more closer to the market. Any feedback on that, Cristiano, Khalid, Marcel, on actually Dubai-based brands and actually the domestic brands expanding further?
Yeah, I saw even our master, people that are holding the master of Sea House in the area, are the new generation, are all people that were studying in UK, they were studying US. The American companies that are there from 80s, 19 and so on, they learn the process and so on. So from my point of view, I saw this kind of development, this movement, heavy movement, locally heavy movement already even before the COVID. So this is something that is not, for me, something normal, because I was watching this trend in the market, honestly. And I'm very happy for these companies, honestly.
That's very good. Khalid, you work in the market, the domestic franchise market, any sort of, feedback on that?
Yes, I think we'll be seeing soon the convergence from importing brands to exporting brands in the region, and we see it firsthand. There are a lot of the SMEs, beautiful concepts, really successful businesses that have started in Dubai or the UAE or even outside in the Gulf, where you have one unit and they are franchising, and they come to us and they want to franchise, and the globe is their their playing field, and so yes, and of course not only in and probably less in F&B and QSR than other subjects. There is as I said, the health and fitness. There are the certain types of gyms, touristic attractions, guided tours, fulfillment and logistics. All these things that are coming out from mainly Dubai, and I think we'll see a lot of them being very successful, rolling out internationally in the next few years.
Sure. Marcel, anything? Because I know you help brands coming out of all the countries. What is your take on this?
Well, like I said, the cross-border franchise opportunity is going to be tremendous for Dubai and for the Middle East, because if you are interested in a brand, that is managed through Dubai, and the head office is in Dubai, and I'm based in Kuwait, I can take a plane, I can be there the next day, I can be there for a day and a half, I can experience the product. The product has been adapted to the region, the product's already in the language that I need it to be. All those factors are very key. What the percentages you're mentioning in Dubai or UAE are very similar to what happened to Mexico many years ago. Mexico in the 80s was a market that was dominated by US brands for obvious reasons, because geographically they were right there, and 80% of all franchise brands in Mexico in the 80s were American. So what started to happen? The employees, the managers of those brands started getting trained on how to do the business the way these brands were doing it, and all of a sudden they were being hired by local brands that were saying, okay, you have all the experience of working for so-and-so, so now bring me all that experience and help me become that. Standards of operation, manuals, forms, everything that comes with being able to format your business. So what you're mentioning now, it's flipped aside. You look at the statistics of the Mexican Franchise Association, it's a 70% Mexican origin when you go to the show, which is a very huge, it's one of the largest shows in the world. The Mexico City show has, about 500 exhibitors in two different levels. It's actually the oldest franchise show in the world. If statistics that I have, it started 34 years ago as a franchise show. It's the oldest show in the world. It's owned by the same group that does the US shows. So Mexico is, if that's what's gonna, envision for the region. And I see the same thing, concepts, very famous coffee concepts or other concepts are now, Duck Donuts. When we opened Duck Donuts, every single staff member of Duck Donuts had already worked at a very prominent brand in the UAE, and they brought their experience to Duck Donuts, who was new in the region. We had to create every single coffee recipe, because in the US the espresso line is not that strong. So we created, for example, one that the Spanish latte that doesn't exist in the US. So now we have it in the Dubai store, because one of the employees said, when I worked at X company, this was one of the most popular coffees. So we tested it, we built the recipe, and now it's one of the most popular coffees in Duck Donuts, the Spanish latte. So that interaction of these brands is definitely going to cause this flip, because the benefits of talking to a local brand that has been there in the region, has the tradition of being in the market for many years, has that nostalgia as well, which some brands unfortunately don't have. When they come into a region, they don't have the history, they don't have the nostalgia, they don't have, I'm a father, I'm taking my son to see this where I used to eat with my father. That's very, very important, especially in the Middle East, because of the very close family connections.
Absolutely, Marcel. I think I echo, and I think adding on to that, I think this is this is what I see, because I work closely with this market, is that a lot of brands, even from Asia, Australia, Japan, would also be entering and giving competition to the traditional American franchise or in different industries, because I think next 5 to 10 years seem very exciting for UAE, with the domestic franchise industry, with the international brands coming in, with existing brands kind of really trying to catch up with whatever is happening in the market, and also a lot of new franchise owners, both from a master franchise perspective, and I think, as we discussed, a lot of individual franchisees coming in and to be, let's say, own their own business. And a lot of them would not just be the locals, but a lot of people who are actually settled there from outside. So looks very exciting, sounds very exciting. I think I'm glad. I think we have just touched our time. So any closing thoughts from anyone for the market, from where you are, anything?
Well, I would say for those companies looking to enter the Middle East, do your research, make sure you visit the countries, make sure you go to every market possible that you can. They're very different markets, even though they might share the same language, you might see the same culture. The way of doing business, the way of people going through their day is very different. And for those of you looking to buy into a franchise, use the resources available to you, such as programs like this, expos, whether they're virtual or in person. Do your research, visit the concepts, ask for franchisors to give you a list of existing partners, existing franchisees, because no one better to give you a good understanding of the brand than someone that's already operating the brand. So don't be shy in asking for a list of franchisees or partners. In the US, that's a requirement, but outside markets without legislation, it isn't, but it's something you should consider doing. So best of luck, and thank you again for having me. And
thank
to
you,
my
Marcel.
colleagues, great to see you.
Thank you.
Just a small note, Venus, as we started our discussion, that beside what Marcel said, that I believe it's a good opportunity now for any franchise to come or any business to start in the Middle East. We want just to focus on this, definitely with the right research, the due diligence that is necessary, but it's a good opportunity now to start. And thank you for having me in this.
Thank you so much, Saer.
Thank you.
Yeah, definitely. I need to say that 2 years ago, when I was your guest, Venus, in India, we were talking about how to enter in the market, what a potential investor is supposed to do, and so on. We were in daily convention.
Yes.
I was talking exactly in this direction. When you are entering in a market, especially for a franchisor, not before 9-12 months. This is a must. So even if you are a franchisor or is going to meet someone that want to open in 2-3 months, 5 months, 6 months, don't run. Especially because the market is a very competitive market, is a very mature market. Yes. You can find everything is possible. So the study before this. So you need to be a little bit expert in expanding the concept in the markets. If you don't know how to do it, you need to have the right guys that is going to drive you, because otherwise will be like crashing with a car going in front in a wall. And there will be no, if you can be an American company, UK company, or whatever, if you are not following exactly the structure, that, I mean, this is a kind of bottle. You need to go out from the neck. You cannot go out from outside. So this is the most important things that I can say. And in the same time, I need to thank you, Venus and Frank Global, because you let me enter for the first time in Asia, closing the deal in Bangladesh. And thank you very much. You helped me with a very important company that I cannot name it now, but you, with your company, you let me enter because yesterday we signed for India. Thanks to you and Frank Global. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Cristiano. Khalid?
Yes, firstly, thank you, Venus, and it's a pleasure meeting the gentlemen. I've learned a lot from them, and I hope that our audience has also learned. And I would say that if you're not an expert in the market and you're not doing proper due diligence, then probably you should speak to Venus, Marcel, or Khalid, and we can help you more and while you're sitting in your office.
Well, that's very well put, Khalid. Of course, it's not a sales pitch, but this is my experience, and I think we have two brand owners as well. Franchise service industry is the backbone of franchise industry. I'm very proud to be part of that community. It's a very well-connected community. People know each other in franchising, and I think one thing which I can add is franchising, whether international, domestic, is a long-term game. I think any short-term place comes in, flies out. We all know that. I mean, I think that's where not the market is growing. There is a lot to be done. I think this is a very exciting market. That's what I guess we have discussed. If both domestic franchising, international franchising, new industries coming in. So it looks very interesting. And if you want to enter the market, whether as a brand, whether as a master franchise partner, reach out to us, reach out to people on the panel, and just do your due diligence, as Marcel said. Thank you so much. Please, you can watch this at the platform later as well. And let us know if you have any questions, feedback, how we can improve. We will be coming back to UAE with a formal physical show once the market opens up. But this has been a very interesting and a good experience. Thank you so much, everyone.
Thanks again.
Thank you so much.
Take care. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Thank you. Bye-bye.